Hey guys, today I'm talking about camping and hiking again, and one of my favorite things to do is hike on the trail. And sometimes you're caught on the trail off guard when you have a sudden rain or you have a wind situation or even a snow situation and you need to start a fire. I'm going to show you how to make a very simple pull pin fire starter. Where a match won't work, these will work and they'll start a fire even on damp or wet firewood or kindling. Now the first thing you're going to do is, I always like using painter's tape. It's easy to work with. You don't have to have scissors to make it work. But we're going to line up in a row. We're going to line up about 8 to 9 matches. We're going to put them really close together and just make sure that they're not warped. Some of these matches sometimes tend to be warped, so we want the straightest matches we can get. And again, we're going to do just about 8 or 9 in a row here on the first step. Okay, now we've put these as close together as possible, and we're going to fold our painter's tape over. We're going to do that again to make sure they don't move or they stay all close together. And so there we go. That's our first step. We're going to make one of these for side A, and we're also going to create a side B. So that, even though we're using a lot of matches, you're guaranteed that even in a rainstorm or a windstorm, that this is still going to be effective lighting. If you've ever tried to light a single match in that kind of situation, you might go through 10 or 20 just to get a small flame going, and it almost always goes out because it's just one individual match. Okay, now we're going to do side B. Same exact procedure. I'd say about a 6 to 7 inch piece of painter's tape, and just follow the exact same procedure we did on step 1. Right, there we have side A and side B, and we're going to assemble these just like this, very close together with all the heads as close as we can lined up. They're not perfect, but that's our goal, is to get these all lined up so they ignite all at the same time and create a pretty good little fire even in a rain, snow, or wind situation. Now next we need to create our ignition source, and we're going to use the side of the matchbook. We're going to cut it off, and we're going to use the striking plate, the full length of it. We're just going to cut as close as we can to that plate on both sides. And do that. And so we're going to fold it together like that. And now we need to create our little cord to pull our striking plate out. So we're going to take some twine, string, whatever you have on hand. We're going to make a simple loop with it, simple knot. And just do a very basic knot. Make sure it's nice and tight, so pull it as tight as you can. Cut the 2 tips off. And we're going to put that under our striking plate like that. And we're going to have it right in the center, right below the match heads, maybe a millimeter or 2, 1/16 of an inch on both sides. And we want to make sure that these are very, very close together and very firmly put in place, and we're going to use a special type of tape for that. But right here at the bottom, to assemble these two together, we're just going to use more painter's tape. Let's put that back together, make sure we've got it back in the same position, right below the heads. The side A goes on there. Make sure we have our string at the top, not at the sides, because when we put our special tape on, it'll be locked into place, and our striking plate will not work as well, so we want to make sure we do that. But just going to wrap that around the base and make sure both sets are put together at the bottom. Push them, press really hard as you can. Make sure they're lined up properly. The strings need to come out of the top, not out of the sides. So just like that. Now, as I said, we're using a special type of tape at the top of our matches, and that is because electrical tape kind of has a rubbery stretchiness to it, and so when we put that over the top, it's going to pull it really, really tight. We want it to be not much movement, and sometimes the painter's tape tends to move a little bit, so we just want to make sure that we have a nice stretchy thing. The top piece of electrical tape, put it right below the match heads, and just pull it kind of tight as you're putting it around the top there. Just kind of give it a light tug and all the way around, and this is really tight there. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure it's got a really tight bind. We also want to make sure that our striking plate for the matches is far below, maybe a millimeter below that. It came up a little bit to the top. So there we have it. It's assembled so far, our ignition source, but there's a couple of different ways we can go from here, and I'll show you my favorite way and an alternate way as well. Now, as I said, we're going to store this long term in a container like this. Is a old watch case I got. You can use a metal Band-Aid case, but what I want is something that will hold this for a long time without getting crushed in my hiking bag, and it's also pretty waterproof. But another way to make it even more waterproof is to use something like a small Ziploc bag. These can be purchased on Amazon, and you can also use something as crazy as a disposable glove, and that's what I'll show you real quick. I've made some of those out of disposable gloves like this. You have the glove finger in the middle, you have the striking plate, of course, inside, and your ignition source, and a couple of pieces of cotton that's been rubbed a little bit with Vaseline. So this is easy to assemble. You just take it, get it ready, just kind of pull that out there, pull our cord out for our ignition source, and you're just going to go and you pull it not too hard. You want to just lightly pull it, but you need to have a firm grip at the base of this to make sure that the striking plate, as it comes out, is going to ignite all the matches, ignite the tinder we have in here, the cotton. Now you can use something even better, I think, is dryer lint. That works extremely well, and just lightly coat it with Vaseline. I think that really helps, and it really does great in a heavy wind. So this is what I'm using right here for my tin, but I'm going to show you an alternate way as well how to do this with this small bag. Instead of using cotton, I'm going to use something that everybody is probably receiving every day in their mail, and that's cardboard. Now, you don't have to buy these specialty small Ziplocs, but I like them because they're easy to put into my travel case here that goes in my backpack. You can use something like a small snack bag. Sandwich bag is a little bit large, but they make those in half sizes where you could easily put it away in your backpack. But anyways, we're going to do one more thing with this little bag. We're going to put cardboard on both sides. I'm going to make sure I cut the cardboard exactly the right size so it fits in there, and I'll show you how we do that. We're just going to measure the sides carefully like that. Make sure we're going in the right direction. And we're going to need 2 pieces of cardboard. Okay. We want it to go close to the top, but give it a little bit of room because we're going to need to put our ignition cord back into the bag to make sure it doesn't get damp or wet if it's in our backpack. Come down just a little bit for that. We're going to need 2 exactly the same size. Again, that's probably as close as I can get it there. Okay, so this is going to act as our tinder. Of course, we're going to put our matches in the middle. And another thing we're going to do, we're going to kind of bend the sides of this because we're going to staple these together. But what we want to do on each side of this, we want to put Vaseline all down the sides and at the base. That will help with ignition. So I'm going to take some of that and just carefully apply it around the sides of the matches. Don't put it on the top because it may make it a little slippery, and your striking plate may slip out without igniting the matches. So just put that around the sides. A little bit of extra at the base. Don't have to put a lot, but this just helps. It is flammable, and it will work great on helping fires get started on those damp and wet days. So now we've got it kind of in there, and we're going to take our other piece and put it on top. Now we're going to take a stapler, and I'm going to staple down the sides to make sure it doesn't come apart. Hoping you can see this. There's a lot of shadow because I'm doing this after dark. Okay, we got one side done. Now we're going to come back to the other side. Do the same thing over here to make sure it doesn't come out. This needs about 4 staples. Doesn't need to be stapled every square inch, millimeter of it. But that holds it in place. So we came a little bit loose there. Let's do another one just to make sure it's holding it steady. Okay, and there you go. That's ready to go. Okay, we're going to carefully put this in our extra small Ziploc bag. I'm just going to slip it in there. This is now rainproof. The amount of matches we have in there makes it windproof. So even if there's a pretty good gust going, when you ignite them, it's going to work really well because we have so many matches. When you're trying to do one match at a time to get a fire started, sometimes it is really difficult. So these are great fire starters. You've got your tinder, you've got your ignition source, and you've got a waterproof case all in one here. And so like I said, you'll fold this up when it's not in use before you get ready to use it and seal the top of your extra small Ziploc bag. Now, like I said, there is a Ziploc bag, that's the brand name, that comes with a snack size, and you can use those if you don't want to buy a specialty bag. But I will put a link in the description to everything I'm using. But I really like this particular size because it fits into my little tin can there. My carry case here that is originally a watch case, but it's just a perfect place to store these. A little bit tricky, you just have to kind of push down until you get your ignition cord below the line there. And just do it very slowly. My hands have a little bit of the Vaseline on it, so it's a little bit hard to hold it. It's being a little slippery there. Okay, and I feel it click there. Now we go all the way across. So now we have a waterproof, safe, even if it gets compacted in your backpack, wherever you have it stored, it'll be okay. If you have a tin, something like this, like an old Band-Aid case, you can store them in there like that. You can use the glove, you can use the cardboard, whatever you like to use for your tinder. I think the cardboard tends to work a little bit better. The cotton tends to burn up fairly quickly. So let's put that in there, and we'll go out to the fire pit and do another demonstration there. So if you don't want to make your own, you can buy something very similar to the homemade one on Amazon called Pull Start Fire. And they come to a pack of 3, and I think it was around $20 for these, but it makes a great way to start a fire if you find yourself in a situation where a match isn't working or you don't have your lighter or ignition source handy. These work great, so I'll put these in the link down below as well. And I'll demonstrate using one of these as well. All right, so it's dark outside and I want to get one of these started where you can see it fairly good. So I'm gonna just do it here in the greenhouse. Again, you wanna have a firm grip on it. Pull it slowly, but firmly, and it will come out and ignite your matches quickly, and then you'll have the source going really well. You'll have all of the interior kindling going. So you can see some of the Vaseline is so hot, it's ignited and started to drip, and this will do the same thing on wet logs, but it lights very quickly. It will burn the Vaseline all the way down to the bottom. You can remove the bag if you want to and have a cleaner burn where you're not burning plastic, but again, if it's in a rainstorm situation, that will make a huge difference. But it lights very well every time, and it's secure inside that plastic bag. If your backpack gets soaking wet, you can be assured that this will be dry inside. All right, I'm going to demonstrate the glove tip igniting. We've got a little bit of Vaseline down inside of it there. We also have our extra kindling here that's been coated in Vaseline. Our cotton swabs, you can use something like dryer lint, which will work just as well, but just want to make sure you have a firm grip on it and pull it out firmly but quickly. Now I want to demonstrate what I've purchased on Amazon because I have used these before on separate camping trips and they worked great. Even had a little bit of a rain issue and it worked well when it was a drizzling rain. So these are Pull Start Fire. I'm going to take it outside. It's just really a 3-step process. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove the plastic from the outside. And there's a yellow thing here on one side. It's an instruction thing that will tell you to remove this first before you pull the red side. The red side is what ignites it. Now I'm going to show you what's inside of here because I started one and then I put it out with water because I wanted you to see that how this works and how great it works on an area where you have really wet kindling, because there is something inside of this that will burn for quite a long time. So first thing we do is we pull off this piece of plastic. It's kind of a piece of plastic instruction there. It just says that. Now this side, the green side, is to attach to a log as you're pulling this other side, so you don't have to worry about pulling it completely out of your area where you're going to start a fire. I'm going to start this right outside the greenhouse because it's dark and I don't want to tread over to the fire pit where there's no light and you won't be able to see what I'm doing anyway. So let's do it right outside the greenhouse, and then I'll show you the one I put out. So I wanted to show you what's inside of it. Now don't let this startle you because it does kind of make a popping noise when you pull the red cord. It's not like a firecracker, but it's probably half the sound of that. But this side has nothing other than an anchor where you can tie it to a piece of wood or put a piece of wood so it doesn't move when you pull it. but let's go with this. We're going to pull it. We've already removed our yellow tab out of there. We're going to just throw this to the ground as soon as we pull it because it's going to start burning right away. Now this is the one I put out right away. I wanted to show you what's inside of this. If you've ever bought fire starting logs, they come in a variety of sizes, but this is just kind of a miniature one, about the size of an ice cream sandwich. And so when you pull the red cord, it ignites some kind of pyrotechnics inside of here, and it starts the burning process. And this will ignite even the wettest wood, and it will burn great. The one I started 2 of these. The one outside is still burning about 5 minutes later. So this is just like a small fire starter log that you see. Usually you can buy these, they're about double or triple the size of this one. And then they even have some that are the size of a small piece of wood, maybe 12, 14 inches by about 3 or 4 inches in diameter. So this is actually what makes it work, is the fire starter log. So guys, I really like the concept of the pull start fire. It works great. I've got it still burning outside. I'm going to set the camera in front of it and we'll see how long it burns for. But these come in, like I say, packs of 3. I think it was either, I can't remember exactly how much it was. I ordered it a couple weeks ago before the holidays. But these work great. Put one of these in your bag, and if you happen to get caught somewhere where there's a lot of damp wood and there's been a lot of rain in the area, maybe snow, and you need to get a fire started, this will save the day. The guy who invented this was actually caught in a snowstorm. I saw an interview with him a while back. So these work great. Keep one handy. This is a 3-pack, but when you take one out, it is so small it easily fits into a backpack. So guys, it's been burning for a solid 15 minutes and still going pretty well. I think in that amount of time you could get even the wettest wood to start burning if you have the right amount of kindling, especially if you're using the small twigs and branches. That should do great. So if you have a question about this video or any previous video I've done, please become a public subscriber first, because I always put those people to the front of the line if questions pop up. And unfortunately, there's always a million questions and I can't answer all of them. So if you would, please become a subscriber and I'll put you to the front of the line. So guys, have a great day, and I really appreciate you watching.